Very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Ashwarya with you. Let us start with the headlines. Post-abrogation of Article 370, NSA Ajit Doval reviews security situation in Kashmir Valley, meets local residents, policemen, says your security is government's responsibility. Day after Parliament approved scrapping Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan expels Indian High Commissioner Ajit Bisaria. Islamabad claims it will downgrade bilateral relations. Heavy rains lash Maharashtra and Karnataka. 2.5 lakh people evacuated in Sangli, Kolhapur and Pune. Red alert in Kerala after forecast of heavy rains. 14 people killed in rain-related incidents in Uttar Pradesh. President Ram Nath Kovind to confer Bharat Ratna on former President Pranab Mukherjee today. Social activist Nanaji Deshmukh and Bhupen Hazarika to get award posthumously. And India and West Indies play first of the three one-day internationals in Guyana today. India have already won T20 international series 3-0 against the host team. The top story this morning, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Wednesday visited Shopian in Jammu and Kashmir and interacted with the state police personnel and local people. He assured the locals that their security is the government's responsibility. Doval was seen eating food on a footpath outside closed shops and talking to the locals. He exchanged views with them on the security situation. Meanwhile, in Jammu and Kashmir, amid the imposition of Section 144, the situation in all the three regions remained by and large peaceful for the third consecutive day. Shops also reopened in most parts of Jammu district and private traffic also plied normally. Ajit Doval also met a policeman in the area and praised their role in containing the situation in the state for the past several years. He arrived in Kashmir on Tuesday to reach out to the local population in the valley as a confidence-building measure. President Ram Nath Kovind has declared abrogation of the provisions of Article 370 of the Constitution, which gave a special status to Jammu and Kashmir. A Gazette notification to this effect was issued by the Ministry of Law and Justice. Bangladesh has said that the revocation of Article 370 for Jammu and Kashmir is an internal matter of India and they have no right to say anything about others' domestic affairs. The ruling Awami League General Secretary O. Kader said this at an event in Dhaka. Meanwhile, Maldives has also backed India's decision to revoke Article 370 and bifurcate the state of Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, saying that every nation has the right to amend their laws as required. And after the government's move to abrogate Article 370 and bifurcate Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories, Pakistan on Wednesday decided to downgrade diplomatic ties with India, including the suspension of bilateral trade. Islamabad has also expelled Indian High Commissioner Ajit Bisaria. The decision was taken by the Pakistan National Security Council, chaired by Prime Minister of that country, Imran Khan. Pakistan also decided to approach the United Nations, including the Security Council. The development comes a day after the Parliament adopted a resolution scrapping special status to Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 and passed a bill bifurcating the state into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Meanwhile, two US lawmakers have urged Pakistan to refrain from any retaliatory aggression against India and demonstrable action against terrorist groups within its territory. The US statement comes after Pakistan on Wednesday downgraded diplomatic ties with India, including the suspension of bilateral trade. Meanwhile, US State Department officials said that the United States is closely following India's legislation regarding the new territorial status and the governance of Jammu and Kashmir. The US also extended its support for direct dialogue between India and Pakistan on Kashmir and other issues of concern. Now, India has maintained that the issue is strictly internal to our country. And our colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us for more on that story. Akhilesh, a very good morning. So Pakistan has decided to downgrade diplomatic ties with India and also suspend bilateral trade. How do you look at Pakistan's move?
This is a knee-jerk reaction, nothing other than that, because Pakistan has a habit of concentrating all its diplomatic energy around and political energy around Jammu and Kashmir. And this is the way that Pakistan reacts more often than not. So it is nothing new about Pakistan's action. Everyone was expecting that Pakistan will do something so that they can address their domestic constituency. And I think that is why yesterday they have called the meeting of National Security Committee, and then they decided to go ahead with 5-point formula against India in that way. So it's normal that Pakistan has not still sent its own, High Commissioner. High Commissioner is waiting for last 2 months in Islamabad to come to India. And now if they tell India to withdraw the Indian High Commissioner, it's okay. Other people will be there. So beyond that, the only relationship between India and Pakistan in this point of time is Kartarpur corridor talks. It will be interesting to see that how Pakistan takes the Kartarpur corridor issue, because it is also in the interest of Islamabad. Islamabad also wanted Kartarpur corridor for its own benefit, because it is giving win-win situation to both India and Pakistan beyond any diplomatic or trade ties. So I think Kartarpur corridor issue has not come in their meeting yesterday. So it will be interesting to see that how Pakistan does on that. Other than that, if you go into economic relations between India and Pakistan, it's not very exemplary. Actually, what India exports to Pakistan is actually Pakistan's need and requirement. Because if Pakistan does not import from India directly, they import the Indian goods via Dubai or many other, international markets. So it becomes costly for them. So if they want to suspend them, it will be in their against their own self-interest. As far as India exports to Pakistan, India's import from Pakistan is very minimal. And it is just a goodwill gesture that India imports from Pakistan. Otherwise, Pakistan doesn't make anything that is very essential for India. So it is cutting trade ties with India is also against Pakistan's interest. And other than that, Pakistan is surrounded by FATF itself. People are looking towards Pakistan that what Pakistan takes action against its own terrorist financing, etc. So Pakistan has to answer if it goes to international fora. And what India has told, India has clarified that it is an international arrangement, because Indian constitution provides that power to Indian government, and also Indian parliament is unanimous in the past many a times that whole Jammu and Kashmir, including POK and Aksai Chin, are integral part of India.
Yes.
So, in that way, Pakistan doesn't have any local tie. Any other country doesn't have any local tie. And you see that many supporting statements are coming from many friendly countries, even including neighbors. So I think Pakistan is going to lose if it wants to cut the ties, trade ties or diplomatic ties itself,
Absolutely. And Indian government making it clear that it was Indian Parliament that has taken a decision on Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, and it is an internal matter of India, and no other nation has any locus standi on that. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there on that big story. And in yet another incident of ceasefire violation in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistani troops on Wednesday evening resorted to indiscriminate and unprovoked firing on Indian forward posts and civilian areas in the border district of Rajouri in Jammu division. The Pakistani troops used a small arms fire and shelling with mortars along the line of control in Sundarbani sector of Rajouri district. The Indian troops gave a befitting reply to the Pakistani roaring guns. The exchange of fire between the two armies continued till 2:30 a.m. today. This was the third ceasefire violation along the line of control in the past 4 days. And Home Minister Amit Shah on Wednesday raised with Bangladesh India's concern over illegal immigration from that country to the northeast. The issue was flagged before Bangladesh Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan at the 7th meeting of the India-Bangladesh Home Minister level talks in New Delhi. Now, this came ahead of the publication of the final list of the National Register of Citizens in Assam on 31st of August. When the draft NRC was published last year, 40 lakh names were excluded. Assam and other northeastern states have been facing the problem of influx from neighbouring Bangladesh through the porous border. Both the Home Ministers reaffirmed the need to further curb the menace of trans-border crimes and therefore agreed to the need for greater cooperation to achieve the aim of a secure border. On to some other news, the Election Commission on Wednesday notified by-election to one Rajya Sabha seat of Uttar Pradesh. The Election Commission said that the nominations for the lone seat of Rajya Sabha by-poll would end on 14th of August, while the scrutiny of papers would be done on 16th of August. And the last day for the withdrawals is 19th of August. The polling, if required, will be held between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on 26th of August, and the results would be declared the same day. The seat fell vacant due to the resignation of Samajwadi Party member Neeraj Shekhar, who has now joined the BJP. The term of the seat is up to 25th of November 2020. In Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
What are some key legislations introduced in Rajya Sabha? Some of the key legislations introduced in Rajya Sabha are the Indecent Representation of Women Bill 1986, the Indian Succession Bill 1991, and the Marriage Laws Bill 1999.
बैंक में खाता खोलने और मोबाइल में सिम लेने के लिए आधार को स्वैच्छिक बनाने संबंधी आधार और अन्य कानून संशोधन विधेयक 2019 संसद के बजट सत्र में पास हो गया।
आज आधार के कारण हमको एक व्यवस्था है, हमारे पास एक व्यवस्था है जिसके कारण हम न केवल रॉन्गफुल इंक्लूजन को रोक सकते हैं बल्कि रॉन्गफुल एक्सक्लूजन को भी रोक सकते हैं। ये कई जनरेशंस तक जो चली आ रही व्यवस्था को रोका गया, जिसको सुधारा गया, मैं केवल एक संख्या बोलना चाहता हूं, 4.23 करोड़ एलपीजी कनेक्शंस। छोटी संख्या नहीं है महोदय। 2.98 करोड़ राशन कार्ड्स जो करेक्ट हुए, 4.77 लाख एनएसएपी बेनिफिशियरीज। ये कोई छोटी संख्या है नहीं महोदय। बहुत कम समय में अगर इतना समाधान हो पाया है तो अगर ये ठीक से चलेगा तो आप सोचिए कितना बेनिफिट लोगों तक पहुंचेगा।
The bill seeks to provide for 12-digit Aadhaar number and its alternate numbers generated by the authority in such manner as may be specified by regulations to conceal the actual Aadhaar number of an individual. This is a welcome step as it tries to restore and protect the privacy of the individual concerned.
फिर एक चिंता हमारी है कि जो हमने कार्ड अपना जो डेटा बैंकों को दिया हुआ है उसमें से कुछ बैंक मर्ज हो रहे हैं, कुछ कंपनियां जिन्होंने डेटा लिया हुआ था वो खत्म हो गई हैं, वो कंपनियां और लोगों ने खरीद ली हैं, तो उनके ऊपर क्या लाजिमियत आई है कि भाई हमारे इस डेटा को वो लोग प्रिजर्व करें या डिस्ट्रॉय करें या उसका कोई मिसयूज ना हो।
The present law also makes a provision very clearly and categorically that no company, the banking or the telecom company, shall keep the data, Aadhaar number and biometric, apart from the elementary identity credential checkup required for opening the bank account or the SIM card. And if they do, 1 crore fine and 10 lakh per day fine, apart from punitive fine are existing.
देखिए संसद संवाद सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
मधुबनी चित्रकारी, मिथिला की लोक कला और बिहार की पहचान, प्रकृति और पौराणिक गाथाओं से सराबोर, चटकीले और मटियाले रंग बनाए चित्रों को खूबसूरत, देवी देवता, पशु पक्षी, फूल और पत्तियां, दो तरह की होती हैं तस्वीरें, भित्ति चित्र और अल्पना। पहले कच्ची मिट्टी की झोपड़ियों पर होती थी चित्रकारी, अब कागज, कपड़े और कैनवास पर उतरी ये शानदार कलाकारी।
दुनिया के लोग कह रहे हैं कि शायद अगर थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर कभी होगा तो वो वर्ल्ड विश्व में पानी के लिए होगा। तो आज जिस तरह से पानी का लगातार एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हो रहा है, तमाम राज्यों में पानी का जल संकट हो रहा है, आज 256 जिलों के करीब 1300 ब्लॉकों में वाटर का जो स्टेटा है वो नीचे जा रहा है। इस पे हमने एक मंत्रालय का गठन किया और आने वाले दिनों में इस पे एक अभियान चला करके वाटर कंजर्वेशन का ये मंत्रालय काम करेगा।
Welcome back after the break. Soon after the Rajya Sabha was adjourned sine die on Wednesday, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and about 25 leaders of various political parties discussed a range of issues including the functioning of Parliament and judiciary, role and responsibilities of MPs for around half an hour. The leaders expressed happiness over the productive Rajya Sabha session and noting that the improved interaction between the government and the opposition had enabled a good budget session. Naidu stressed on the need for regular and enhanced coordination between the two for sustaining the improved productivity of the upper house. The Prime Minister stressed on the need for the MPs to be sensitive to the public perception about them. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi, Leader of House Thawar Chand Gehlot, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Ram Gopal Yadav, Derek O'Brien among others attended the meet. And earlier, Rajya Sabha was adjourned sine die on Wednesday as the 249 session of Rajya Sabha concluded. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that in this session, a total of 32 bills were passed in 35 sittings. The Chairman Naidu termed the session as the best in the last 13 years, with major bills such as the Triple Talaq Bill, the National Investigation Agency Amendment Bill, the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill, the RTI Amendment Bill, and the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Bill and the National Medical Commission Bill being passed by the upper house during the budget session. Naidu lauded the House, stating that this August House turned the most purposeful and productive. The chairman also congratulated the deputy chairman, the secretary general, and the staff members. And the nation on Wednesday paid last respects to veteran BJP leader and former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. Her mortal remains were cremated with full state honours at the Lodi Road Crematorium in New Delhi. Her last rites were performed by her daughter Bansuri, with her father Swaraj Kaushal by her side. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP President Amit Shah and veteran party leaders and union ministers including Raj Nath Singh, Nitin Gadkari, Prakash Javadekar, Ramdas Athavale, Smriti Irani and Prahlad Patel attended her last rites. Political leaders cutting across party lines gathered to pay homage to Sushma Swaraj. They included Ghulam Nabi Azad, Anand Sharma, Sharad Yadav, among others. And earlier in the day, people were given an opportunity to pay their last respects to former External Affairs Minister at the BJP headquarters. A funeral procession from BJP headquarters to Lodi Crematorium was led by her daughter Bansuri. Union Ministers Raj Nath Singh, Piyush Goyal, Ravi Shankar Prasad, JP Nadda and others also played pallbearers. Sushma Swaraj, remember, passed away at Delhi's All India Institute of Medical Sciences Hospital after a cardiac arrest on Tuesday night. Swathes of our country have been struggling due to heavy rains, and the situation remains to be grim as the Met Department has predicted more showers for today. The flood situation in Sangli, Kolhapur and Satara districts of Maharashtra remain grim, where 2.5 lakh people have been evacuated. 16 deaths in rain and flood-related incidents have been reported from western Maharashtra in the last 7 days. Floodgates were opened in dams in Maharashtra. All schools and colleges will remain closed in Kolhapur district today as well due to floods. A team of the Territorial Army, the Navy and NDRF are conducting rescue operations. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis reviewed the flood situation at a meeting in Mumbai yesterday. He also warned people against travelling on the Mumbai-Bengaluru National Highway. Meanwhile, the flood situation in parts of Karnataka also remained grim, with nearly 26,000 people being evacuated and 5 people killed in rain-related incidents in the past 3 days. The Met Department has issued a warning of very heavy rainfall at a few places in 5 districts of Chhattisgarh, meanwhile. And Kerala State Disaster Management Authority has also issued red alert in 3 districts of the state, and orange alert has been issued in 5 districts for today. Meanwhile, 14 people have lost their lives in rain-related incidents in Uttar Pradesh. 14 people were killed on Wednesday. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has expressed grief over the loss of lives. In a statement, he has directed the respective district magistrates to provide financial assistance of 4 lakh rupees to the family members of the deceased. And on to some other news now. For the 4th straight time, the Reserve Bank of India cut its benchmark repo rate by 35 basis points to 5.4%. The move is aimed at boosting growth, aggregate demand and private investment amid benign inflation projections. The State Bank of India cut lending rates hours after the Reserve Bank of India lowered the interest rates for the 4th time this year. In its 3rd bi-monthly monetary policy meet, RBI cut repo rates and reserve repo rates by 35 basis points. Repo rate is the rate at which the Reserve Bank of India lends a short-term money to the banks. That is now down to 5.4%. And the reverse repo rate, which is the rate at which the central bank borrows money from commercial banks, now stands at 5.15%. The central bank kept the retail inflation forecast within a target of 3.5 to 3.7% for the second half of 2019-20. However, it cut the GDP forecast to 6.9% for the current fiscal from the 7% projected earlier.
Against the backdrop of recent developments and incoming data, today the MPC voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate and to maintain the accommodative stance of monetary policy. As set out in the MPC's resolution, 4 members voted for a reduction in policy repo rate by 35 basis points, while 2 members voted to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points.
On to some other news, President Ram Nath Kovind will confer Bharat Ratna Award today to former President Pranab Mukherjee. Social activist Nanaji Deshmukh and legendary singer Bhupen Hazarika will get the award posthumously. Pranab Mukherjee, a lifelong congressman who has held several important posts, including that of Union Finance Minister, was the last president of India before Ram Nath Kovind succeeded him. Social activist Nanaji Deshmukh was a member of Lok Sabha from 1977 to 1979, representing the Balrampur seat in Uttar Pradesh. He also served as a nominated member of the Rajya Sabha from 1999 to 2005. He also played an important role in the JP movement of the 1970s. And Bhupen Hazarika, legendary singer-composer from Assam who died in 2011, will also be conferred with the award. The 77th anniversary of the August Kranti Din is being observed today. Now, this day is considered as one of the most important milestones in the history of freedom struggle in our country. On this date in 1942, Mahatma Gandhi gave a clarion call to end the British rule and launched the Quit India movement at the session of All India Congress Committee in Mumbai. After the failure of a Cripps mission, Gandhiji gave the call to do or die in his Quit India speech delivered at the Gowalia Tank Maidan in Mumbai. Addressing a Gandhi Katha event on Wednesday, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu said that the teachings and preachings of Mahatma Gandhi are eternally relevant. He also urged the people to take part in nation-building activities in a constructive manner. The Vice President was addressing a gathering in New Delhi. Well-known Gandhian Dr. Shobna Radhakrishnan rendered a Gandhi Katha on the occasion of the 77th August Kranti Divas.
Gandhiji's teachings and preachings are eternal. They are relevant at that time, now, and in future also. So, and moreover, telling the life of Gandhi in a story form and also partly with some music, that really makes a good impact in the mind of the people.
Sports news now. After having registered a clean sweep in the 3-match T20 international series against the West Indies, India are back to the one-day international business for the first time since the World Cup 2019. The 3-match ODI series will begin at the Providence Stadium, Guyana today. The match will start at 7 p.m. India time. Virat Kohli will look to resolve the batting woes when the team takes up the challenge in the Caribbean island. Shikhar Dhawan makes a comeback in this format where he has been India's third best player after skipper Kohli and his deputy Rohit Sharma. And that is a wrap on this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a great day ahead.